continuing with the theme of our videos, we've already looked at the Boston Consulting Group growth share metrics. We've already looked at SWOT analysis. We've already looked at pestle analysis. And now we're going to look at Potter's 5 forces. Again, this is a topic from your Strategic Business Leader or SBL examination in the ACCA subject. This is from a Strategic Business Leader subject in the ACCA course. Now, what are Potter's 5 forces? So as the name already suggests, there are 5 things that we will look at. And again, I am not a big fan of theory, so I will explain this to you with the help of 2 examples. One of Indigo Airlines and the other one is Netflix. Let's go point by point and I will take an example for every single item. So the very first point in Potter's 5 forces is competitive rivalry. So again, from the perspective of Indigo, obviously they are in the aviation industry. What are their competitors doing? Who are their competitors? These are important things to know from running a business standpoint. Now, obviously Indigo's competitor in India would probably be Air India. And globally, of course, there's Emirates, there's Lufthansa, there's many competitors that they have. So for Indigo to study their competitors is extremely key. Again, coming to the example of Netflix now. Who are their competitors? Their competitors would be Amazon Prime. Their competitor would be Jio, who recently got the right to telecast the World Cup, the Football World Cup in India. Their competitor would be Hotstar. Their competitor would be Woot and all other OTT platforms that you can think of. All of them are Netflix's competitors. The second point in Potter's 5 forces is the bargaining power of the suppliers. Let's start by talking about Indigo again, and then we'll talk about Netflix. So when it comes to plane manufacturers or airplane manufacturers, there's only 2 prominent ones in the world that a company like Indigo can go to and get their planes made or leased or rented. The first one is Boeing and the second one is Airbus. Now, think about this. There's these 2 players in this entire market. The bargaining power that they have is ridiculous. And this obviously is not a good thing for Indigo. Because if they want specific parts, obviously they'd have to go to Boeing, who can charge what they want. If they want specific parts, again, they might have to go to Airbus, who can again charge whatever they want. When it comes to Netflix, the bargaining power of the suppliers in the case of Netflix is again quite high. And the reason for this is there are only a few shoot locations or production houses the size of that have the size and the capacity to service a client like Netflix. So again, the bargaining power is quite high in both the cases. Next, we talk about the bargaining power of the customers. So I'd like to talk about this with an anecdote, right? Bargaining power of the customers is our third point that we're looking at. Now, think about this. My bargaining power with companies like Indigo or Netflix is quite high. I'll talk about Netflix in a second, but let's talk about Indigo first. Well, if I don't get the right price, I will simply refuse to fly. I will take a train. I could take a bus. I could take a ship. I could take a car. There are several ways in which I could travel. Even if I want to fly to the destination, there are several airlines that can get me there. So obviously the bargaining power of the customers is quite high. In the case of Netflix, if Netflix raises their price to a certain amount for the subscription, I can always go to Amazon Prime if they are offering it for cheaper. I can always torrent it if I want to, which is illegal, but I can still do it. So you can probably imagine that the bargaining power of the customers is quite high. The next point in Potter's 5 forces is all about the threat of substitution. Now, what is the biggest threat of substitute for Indigo or any airline for that matter? Well, you may say that it might be the entry of other airlines, but let me pose this to you. The biggest threat to an airline company right now is Skype or Zoom, because they completely eliminate the need for me to fly or for you to fly. So that is a huge substitute to flying. When it comes to Netflix, obviously we've talked about this over and over again. There's a lot of substitute products available out there. Amazon Prime, Jio, Woot, Z5. There's too many. And the final point in Potter's 5 forces is threat of new entrants. Now, luckily, in the aviation industry, the barriers to entry are huge. Usually, airlines are loss-making companies, so the barriers to entries are huge. you need significant capital, and you basically need an organization to bankroll it, to invest in the company. The barriers to entry are quite high. In the case of Netflix, again, the barriers to entry are high because not everyone can produce original content the way Netflix does. But definitely there is a threat of new entrants coming into the picture. Today, if technically, you take your camera and make a YouTube video, and you have a really, really good sense of, producing content, making content, technically, if you grow to a certain size, you could challenge Netflix. So obviously they face a more significant threat of new entrants as compared to Indigo. With that being said, I have completed the analysis of the Potter's 5 forces for both Indigo and Netflix. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments, which is your favorite company. And I would love to hear your analysis on your favorite companies on these 5 points. If you found this video helpful, check out our other videos.